Oh my God. Välkommen. Come on. Pizza Planet. Yes. Welcome, everyone. Okay, friends, so, this is new. This is a new thing. But to be honest, I fucking need this, and lots been going on. Don't you know? I got 2 phones on my iPad right now. Drop the posture tutorial. It's real! It does! Oh, God. Yeah, this is new. Canada's okay. I don't get to fucking see it. I'm inside watching the world go by. But I figured we would do, I don't know, I've had a lot of time to try to do some work, you know, and I've also had a very stressful week. So I figured, why not just do a weekly thing where we can come together and watch things that not challenge us, maybe challenge us, but just inspire us to work a little more on our own personal inner goals. You know what I'm saying? I have a mezcal because it's been a day. Lord Jesus, has it been a day? But so what I thought we would do, this is going to be the first Instagram live on my Living Maria page, thank you. If we do this again next week, if it goes well, then we'll switch over to the Amarillo Project page, which is on my bio. So let's, I guess, dive in. I hope you guys are all doing well. Times is tough, eh? They say eh now because I'm in Canada. I think that's appropriate. I didn't go to the march because I'm not there. All right, so the first video that I want, by the way, for those of you who have no idea what's going on, I have a podcast called the Amarillo Project, which has been collecting some dust, but do you know what? It's a good place to be. It's nice. So I figured we'd start a thing here today, Friday Feels, and watch 2 videos that I was extremely inspired by. One of them is by someone named Byron Katie, who Oprah interviews, a lot of Oprah. And I watched it the other day. I didn't get all the way through, and I remember being so inspired by her. So I figured we would watch together. And if you have your journal, I'm taking notes. And just have this platform. I don't need to tell you what I think about fucking Scott Rudin because it's all over my page. It's all over my Twitter, my Instagram. So this is not the space for that. This is a mental health space. This isn't a fuck Scott Rudin space. You know what I'm saying? So I'm fired. Let me just say something quickly. I'm a little fired up because I couldn't be at the march, and I wanted to be there with my peers. I wanted to be there marching and seeing my people with me, but I'm not. So I have to do what's best for me and my mental health right now, and it's not sitting on my phone challenging reality. This is my reality right now, so let's just watch this. So what we're gonna do is go here. So exciting.
Our proven installation process ensures
Can you guys hear
your
this?
gutters are in tip-top shape and
I'll turn it down a little bit.
your home. Step 1.
Can you guys hear? I mean, that was an ad, but...
Welcome to my Soul Series. Soul Series is part of Oprah and Friends, exclusively on XM Radio Channel 156. And you can listen to the entire Soul Series collection on xmradio.com/Oprah.
This is a mental. This is not about Scott Rudin right now, y'all.
Well, I'm really, really excited today to meet a woman named Byron Katie. Now, I've heard a lot about her in the spiritual circles. A friend of mine had told me about one of her books years ago.
Trendy, that's a great idea.
Recently, another friend called me up and said, have you heard of The Work? Byron Katie, The Work? I go, yeah, I keep hearing about this woman, Byron Katie. So I got her book, Loving What Is, started reading it, and loved it so much because it brought me to another level of thinking about resisting what is. And so this whole idea of being able to accept the moment, and what the moment has to offer, and not resisting it is something I want to talk to her about.
Don't resist
Also,
the moment.
Don't resist. You just walk around all the time like
Already.
not resisting. We're going to find out today with Byron Katie. It's uplifting.
Yes, it is.
Truly powerful.
This is fun already.
Welcome to Soul Series.
Thank you, Oprah.
Hi, welcome to my Soul Series. It's
Yes.
time to kick
I'll
back
turn
and
it up.
simply, for me, engage in what I think is the richest conversation any of us can have in our lives, with our lives, about our lives, and that's about who we really are, about the stuff in life that truly matters to all of us. And my guest today, Byron Katie, author of 1,000 Names for Joy, Living in Harmony with the Way Things Are. She's the founder of The Work, a process of inquiry from which she offers anybody who can learn to identify and question the thoughts that cause their suffering. Katie, everybody calls you, right? Yeah. I just want to say a few things about, because everyone who's listening to this series, no doubt you understand that we're also doing online with Eckhart Tolle our class for New Earth. And Eckhart Tolle, whom you've undoubtedly heard me talk about over the past several months, says of Katie's work that it is a great blessing for our planet, is how he describes it. It acts like a razor-sharp sword that cuts through illusions and enables you to know for yourself the timeless essence of your being. He goes on to call your book Loving What Is, the key to knowing your natural state, which is joy, peace, and love.
Yes.
That's a pretty good compliment coming from.
He's a dear friend.
Yeah.
He's a dear friend for everyone.
You know what I found? Your work takes the message that Eckhart speaks of in A New Earth to the next level. It's about putting it in process on a daily basis.
It's like Eckhart is what, and the work is how. And we've had these masters throughout the centuries and centuries. But how do we do it? You know, the work is how.
Paint a picture for us. How old were you? What was going on in your life?
I was 43 when this experience happened to me, and I had been suffering just deep depression, suicidal even, and agoraphobic. I couldn't leave my bedroom often for days and weeks, other than just to go to the toilet. And my hair would stick to me. It was a horrible way to live. I was well over 200 pounds, and I was desperate. And later I found that simply it was the effect of believing my thinking, the thoughts that we're all thinking.
All the time. That run our lives.
My children don't respect me. They should mind me. And it was that the world doesn't understand. People really don't understand my suffering, my pain. And you know, victims are violent people, I've come to see.
Really?
And I was such a victim, and therefore violent, full of this hatred turned inward. Rage.
Yeah, so interesting.
Right. So not even thinking yourself worthy, Katie, to sleep in a bed. You're sleeping on the floor. And tell us what happened.
Well, actually, as I lay asleep on the floor one morning, actually a cockroach crawled over my foot, and I opened my eyes, and in place of all that darkness was a joy that I just simply can't describe. But the thing that is really important that I realized is that when I believed my thoughts, I suffered. But when I question my thoughts, I don't suffer.
Oh!
To see that this is true for every...
Hold on. Did you hear what she said? When I believed my thoughts, I suffered. But when I questioned, what did she say? Bitch! She said,
thing that is really important that I realized is that when I believed my thoughts, I
suffered.
But when I questioned my thoughts, don't suffer.
I don't
and
suffer.
I've come to see
Isn't that
this is true for
crazy?
every human being.
It's so crazy. That's, to me, is so wonderful because I feel like, and I know this, we have to be the only people who can question that. You know what I mean? We are the only people in our life, in our circle, that can question our thought. No one knows what we're thinking. Like, that's... So if a thought comes in, before I allow it to settle, I can question. That's just fucking great. Let me just keep playing this.
Tell us, were you a spiritual person before? I mean, during all of this depression and horrible times, was there a God that you believed in or a God that you felt badly that you didn't believe in?
Yeah, there was a God I cursed. I really blame God for my condition also, along with everyone and everything else. And I just came to see differently. I had no teacher. I didn't have a religion, nothing.
Well, is it kind of like, I think, Eckhart several weeks ago when we were doing our A New Earth series, and also in his book, A Power of Now, describes the moment where he says, I felt I cannot live, I'm so miserable, I cannot live with myself any longer.
Yeah.
And then I question, who is the I and who is the myself? Are there two of us? Is that what you're describing?
Are there two?
Well, it's like that in hindsight.
In hindsight,
yes.
It is. All right.
But I've come to see that there's one mind, as people say, and I've really come to realize that. And I've come to see also in that one mind that there are no new stressful thoughts. So if we all, or just one, I always speaking to myself, just questioned those stressful thoughts, it frees the mind up.
So when we question our thoughts, we don't suffer. When we believe our thoughts, we do.
The stressful ones.
The stressful ones.
Because the ones like, I really care about you. Isn't this a wonderful world? I love seeing you. All these thoughts. I love my children. Those thoughts are working for us. And who cares
That's
if they're true or not?
Yeah.
They're working for us. If you're in a wonderful dream, do you want someone to wake you up?
No.
But if you're in a nightmare, don't you want someone to wake you up? Well, that's what this work is for. That's what the work is for.
Was the cockroach moment, Katie, was that what you call waking up to reality?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking to Byron Katie, author of Loving What Is. Let's go back. So you have the reality experience with the cockroach. You're there lying on the floor. And then what happens?
The mind hit. And in that moment, I saw that what I was believing, what I was being hit with, was not true for me. Wow. Because I had just had the experience that it wasn't. And then in that moment, the world instantly happened. There were walls and
not because of a cockroach, but you know what?
And you saw everything differently.
Everything differently.
What is it that you absolutely realized, Katie, in that awakening moment on that floor? What is it that you absolutely realized that you could clarify for our listeners?
That I am whatever I believe me to be.
Oh, wait a second. I am whatever I believe me to be. I'm writing this shit down. Holy shit. I am. Come the fuck on. Whatever I believe me to be. Come on, Byron Katie. Come on, white hair. Seriously? Already, why is this leaning? Like, that is crazy to me in the best way, because for people whose brain works so fast, it's so hard to go against that muscle that we've created in our brain psychologically, to go, if something happens that even reminds me of something that triggers my beliefs, automatically it has to be true. Like, if I, for example, for me, if I don't fit into something, or if I've just eaten, but you know what I mean? Like, so many things that I've believed about myself, that opens up a whole other world of things that will trigger that. Like, that's so great. So isn't it nice to have the reminder that as much as we can believe all the horrible things that we've believed about ourselves that are obviously lies, and look at my necklace is doing something crazy. Calm down. Look at this. Calm down. I just want it to look good. You know what I mean? But, There you go. But what I was saying, isn't it nice to know that for all the things, horrible things that we believe about ourselves, that we have believed about ourselves, that we continue to believe about ourselves, that we wait to believe about ourselves, we can create the space to not only challenge that and make space for joy and peace, but invite a new belief in, which is scary. But I feel like that's just so powerful. Let's keep watching.
And then when you question that, Aubrey, it doesn't leave much. If it leaves anything at all, for me, it's gratitude and how can I help? It's gratitude and surface. And
Okay, but if you are whatever you believe yourself to be, then why couldn't you be also the depressed person, the person who isn't good enough, the person who's never made it, the person who's not loved by her children, the person who's not been received
because I can't believe the thoughts that are happening that tell me that. If someone said, Katie, you're worthless, you know, I realize how painful it is to believe that about someone.
That's so true.
Yourself or anyone. So if someone says, Katie, I don't care about you, I just think, I hope they do better. I know how painful that is.
Wow.
To see another human being as less than you see yourself.
Wow.
And if someone says, Katie, I love you, I think, oh my goodness, isn't that person doing well? They love. And that's the highest standard for a balanced mind.
Did you question your sanity at all? Did you think, whoa?
My family did, but I knew what insanity was, and I knew I frightened people with this awakening, and so I continued to learn balance.
Yes, the title of this video
We
is,
started counseling.
I don't know how to pin this, but Byron Katie, Oprah Soul Series interview.
Agoraphobic all this time. So why is anybody now coming to your door?
Well, it was such a radical experience. It was such a change that even my children didn't recognize me.
Wow.
And
It's a lot.
so word of mouth happened, and I didn't know what it was. So people called and they said, can you help me? And I said, you know, I don't even know what this is, but what I can tell you is, you know, whatever it is, it's yours. And so actually people would come live with me. I thought maybe it was the air, the food, I had no idea what it was. I had to find references as I went along, and people gave me my references.
So the work is called an inquiry. You call it the inquiry. When you were down there lying with the cockroach, did the 4 questions come to you then?
It was automatic. I saw that nothing was
Titles
true,
right
and
here,
I
guys.
saw the
Byron
mind
Katie.
hit, and I saw the mind believed it.
Okay.
And so that's...
Okay, say that again, slowly. You saw that nothing was true?
Yes. It's like nothing was true.
Nothing was true?
Nothing. No identification. Then the mind hit.
Yeah.
And I saw that the mind wasn't true. And I saw that people believed their thoughts, but it simply wasn't true for me. That doesn't mean that it's not true for them. So the work is 4 questions and a turnaround. So the first question, you're believing, for example,
let me turn in my book to the questions.
Okay.
Go ahead. No,
the first question is it true? For example, if I had the thought, he doesn't care about me.
Right.
The first question is it true? The second question, can I absolutely know that it's true he doesn't care about me? The third question, how do you react when you believe the thought he doesn't care about me?
Yeah.
Well, the whole world is born out of that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I become angry or I become sad.
Okay, so tell us how this worked with you first. You are feeling depressed, miserable, distraught, all those things that many people have felt.
Yes.
And the question comes, is it true? Well, I would think the answer would be for, many people who have felt this themselves, and almost anyone listening has, Yeah, I am. I'm miserable. I'm pretty miserable.
And that's an honest answer. And that's all that's required is the willingness to answer the questions. That's all. So the answer would be yes.
Isn't that wonderful? Because nothing that she's saying is out of our control. It's very rare for me to hear voices outside of my apartment because it's just me. But it's excited me for a second. Also, can I add a filter this? I've liked the pig filter lately. This one. So nothing that she says is out of our control, which is really incredible to me because I feel hopeless a lot of the time when it comes to how I can start to really ignite my own rocket towards who I'm trying to be. And so, and this has nothing to do with anyone else, because a lot of the times when I try to explain this, they go, yeah. It has nothing to do with anyone else but me. So this is why I think it's important for us to have a secure attachment with ourselves. I'm not talking about attachment styles. I'm not as well versed in those, so I'm not trying to speak on that. But when something comes along, like grief or sadness or anxiety, I'm not questioning, I'm not really anxious, because you might be, I might be. I'm questioning what my brain is saying is real. What is real right now in this moment? That's why I love speakers like this who encourage self-presence. So this is a cat? Oh, I thought it was a pig. Anyway, I just love that though. Being able to have a secure attachment with yourself and responding almost like you are. Like there's I and there's myself. I love that because it's true. There's a version of myself that I've trained it to respond with the psychological muscles to believe those things about myself. And there's also a part of myself, or who I am, I guess, that wants to challenge that, because I don't want to live in a state where I wake up and hate myself the whole day. Outwardly, in my actions, in my words, with the things that I put in my space, I don't want to feel like that. But I assume it's part of my identity, which means it must be true. Fucking crazy. Let's keep going. Let's turn this filter off because that's just making me, that's gonna make me laugh.
And I say, can you absolutely know that it's true that you are worthless? And they might answer yes again, because the mind immediately is giving them all the proof and all the images.
All right.
That's how the mind works.
Right. So yes, I'm worthless, and yes, I know I'm worthless.
Yes. And
so far, I'm not doing so good.
Yeah, so far. And so the third question, how do you react when you believe the thought that you're worthless?
Oh,
and what
makes me feel even more worthless.
Yes, that your stomach could rotate.
Yes.
Tears could happen.
Yeah.
Depression happens.
Yes.
And we become unkind, and we wonder what is the matter with us. I don't want to talk that way to people. I don't want to hurt people, and we're striking out. And then the mind, how do we react when we think that thought? The mind attacks, and then it comes back and attacks you, and then guilt happens. And so it is this swerve. And how do I react when I believed the thought? I compulsively overate. I drank. All these addictions kicked in. It's how we react when we believe these.
Yes, but also the addictions is not in just what we do to our bodies, but it's what we do to the people who love us. Stonewalling, the silent treatment, defensiveness, pushing people away. Like, I do those things because I believe what I continue to tell myself. So isn't that nuts? Like, that's why I like to say that I'm in control, because even though anxiety and whenever I get into whatever, it affects my physical body, that doesn't mean that I have to spend the whole day living in the mindset of weakness and living in the thought. Because it's almost like once anxiety goes away, it's like the battlefield is still the belief, the horrible belief about myself. So, because that's the thing, I'm sure all of us don't want to, take themselves out of situations they love because they're feeling guilt, don't want to stonewall people or be defensive and be critical of people or judgmental because we're feeling down. then that's what I love about her, is that she's also not saying you're bad for thinking this. Isn't that awesome? That I don't like when people are saying you're wrong for thinking this. Because then that's even more shame, which I love about her speaking.
So then the fourth question, who would you be without that thought? And then just to sit and get still and don't change anything.
Okay, wait a second.
And I invite.
No, bitch. Who would you be without that thought? I'm asking you that rhetorically. Who would you be also? Pigeon. Pigeon on the windowsill. There's a pigeon. So who would you be without that thought? Isn't that's great? I love that.
To just close their eyes and look at their life, just the way they live it.
Oh, let me rewind that because she
dishes, whatever it is, going at home, to just close that thought, and then just to sit and get still and don't change anything. And I invite all the listeners to just close their eyes and look at their life, just the way they live it. At the market, at home, doing the dishes, whatever it is, going to work, walking, to look back at their life, only drop the thought. Who would you be without your story? Just to drop the thought and look at your life. And you see, like...
yes, because in almost every situation, if not every situation, it's not what is happening. It's what we tell ourselves or the thoughts that we have about what's happening that make it whatever it is.
Yes.
That's right.
And we can have all kinds of thoughts about it. It's do we believe them or not?
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah, right.
So then I invite people after those four questions.
May I read from just a page, I don't know the page. Oh, it's page 1. A few basic principles in loving what is you say, noticing when your thoughts argue with reality. The only time we suffer is when we believe a thought that argues with what is. Wow. When the mind is perfectly clear, what is what we want. And I wrote down, okay, what if someone is being really, really inappropriate? You're in a situation where something is happening and you don't want it to happen. You even go to the place where it's happening. I don't want it to happen. I'm not going to resist it. I'm going to accept what is. But it still isn't necessarily what you want.
Well, I would say change it. With all of your power, change it.
Okay.
Right here, right now, because that's the only opportunity you have.
Okay.
Right here, right now. So you change it. And if that doesn't work, then open your mind and see a higher way.
Okay.
Because it's got to be.
You also say, I'm a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality.
Yes.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts when I argue with reality. The only time I suffer. Man, it's crazy to me because that's where 99% of my suffering lies. I have this weird thing of wanting to impress people. I have a people pleaser gene. So I'm not going to lie. I lied. It wasn't 99. It's like 50-50. I have a people pleaser gene, right? So aside the point, the other part of me where I know most of my suffering lies is when I allow that part of my brain who's been fed insecurities over and over and fed the justifications of my insecurities over and over. That's the one that sees it first and reacts first. So the only time I suffer is when I argue with what is. I just think that's so wonderful. We're almost done here, guys.
If we take this approach, you say, when we stop opposing reality, action becomes simple, fluid, kind, and fearless.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, though, if we don't oppose reality, when reality is something that we are opposed to, we don't oppose it, how do we ever get anything done?
Reality is the story of a past.
Okay, how so?
And we can change the past now. Okay, so reality is... So the discussion we've just had right now is the past.
It's over. Gone.
And it's reality.
Yeah.
So if something happened between us that we wanted to shift, we have the power to shift it now.
Right now.
Yes. And I've come to see that defense is the first act of war. So if I attempt to shift
Defense is the first act of war. So
Yes.
the moment you start to defend, you put yourself in a position of creating war.
That's
And who did it? I did. The moment I defended. So we can discuss any shift, or I can discuss any shift. Like I can give you my experience, I can give you my education, my educated view, if one happens to be there on the topic, and that's all I've got.
Yeah.
That's what I've got. My wisdom, my experience.
Is that to say that nothing is worthy of defense? Lots of things are worth defending.
Defense is war. And I say all war belongs on paper. That's where it belongs. So we can look at it and question those thoughts we're believing.
Okay, I got it. I just got the shift in. Because I was thinking when you said that, I'm working on this whole program to really shift the way our country looks at child abuse. And I was thinking, I'm defending the children. And even as you said that, I realized I'm really not trying to defend the children. I'm trying to protect them, which is different.
Yes, and you're educating us.
Shift.
And you're
shift,
educating
shift. I just
them.
had a shift. And then if I
Excellent.
try to defend them, that I will end up being a part of the war.
Of the problem.
The problem, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't have a war against anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how wars begin.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
I'm going to defend my point of view. You got it.
I got that. So I want to actually do
I like that question that somebody just asked. It hurts to argue with reality, but please tell me how hope is different from arguing for me. I don't think she's talking about hope. I think hope is something that's constant. Like I always want to feel like I have hope and faith, you know? I don't want to use hope as, I don't want to see hope as I can only use it when it's like a match in the dark. Like, even though that's when sometimes we need it. I don't feel like that's arguing with reality. I think that is just creating your own. Maybe because even if the reality is a horrible situation, which I'm sure a lot of us can agree with from their past experiences or now, I know I can. I could look at the reality and look at the things that I want to defend myself to, that make me defensive. But I can also look at the reality of the space for putting something like hope there. I don't know if I'm making sense. I'm probably not. But let's keep watching. But I like that question. It's interesting. Sorry.
you. But the other thing that I love that you present early on in Loving What Is about the three businesses. You say there's your business, there's everybody else's business, and there's God's business.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share that with you, the listener out there, because if you just get that, if you just got that from today's conversation, you could really, really tend to your business and leave other people's business alone.
So powerful. Can you imagine if we all took care of our business?
You just did your business. This is so interesting because there was something going on recently, and my girlfriend Gail said, "You need to call up this person and you need to talk to them," and and I got pulled into it, and I did, and I'm on the phone and I'm telling this person what they should be doing, and just as I hung up the phone, I thought, this is going to come back to me, and it's not going to be good, and it's not going to be good because I now am in somebody else's business. I should stay in my own business and tend to, because that's the only business I have any control over.
That's right.
So there's your business, everybody else's
like
business, and God's business.
Yes. Yeah. And if anyone feels lonely, separate, then ask yourself mentally, whose business are you in? And it can just bring you right back to where you really are, and that's where the change can take place.
Ah, that's
You say
wonderful.
staying in your own business. I can find only three kinds of business in the universe: mine, yours, and God's. When I'm worried about earthquakes, floods,
Trinity,
or
stop,
will
stay in
die,
your
I'm in
lane.
God's business.
Stop.
Do I know what's right for me? That is my only business. Let me work with that before I try to solve your problems for you.
And isn't that a full-time job?
Yeah, right.
That's a full-time job. Just to stay in your own business. All right, that's our message for today. Stay in your own business and out of other people's business.
Mentally.
Yeah. Loving What Is. Byron, Katie, come back, would you?
I'd love to.
Come back, would you? So what do we think? I think that's extremely powerful, and we'll watch another video before the hour I'm just gonna fix this damn necklace. And you know what makes me, because I'm not gonna lie, an article came out today where I was interviewed for Backstage, and reading it on paper, I was like, this isn't really the energy that I was trying to go for. It wasn't supposed to be, defending myself. It's supposed to be speaking for a bigger cause. And I realized that I felt really shaky because I was like, I could get blacklisted for this. I can get in trouble for this, for speaking the truth of what happened to me and how I feel. And I don't feel as guilty anymore of doing that or scared, because I realized like that was my business. I was asked about something that involved me. I'm not talking about anyone else. I'm talking about me, of what happened to me, my experience. And maybe I just need to say that out loud to feel better about myself. Is that going to work? Okay. But I do love that. I mean, these are the things that I am whatever I believe me to be. Love that. And this is why, let this be a sign for everyone watching, that you'll feel that voice in your soul that's saying we need to be better to ourselves. So you are whatever you believe yourself to be. So, and the truth is that you're magnificent. I rarely think that about myself. It's been a real struggle getting my ass up every day and almost forcing that mindset on me. And I realized that, especially after that conversation, that I'm waking up in my own nightmare that I've created for myself. You know what I mean? I'm waking up and living my life with the space that I created for myself, which is toxic a lot of the time, which makes me defend. This is crazy. It's making sense. But it hurts when I argue with reality. The only time I suffer is when I argue with reality. And defense is the first act of war. Just like when we get into confrontations, like, I don't want to, it's just crazy. A lot of the stuff that she's saying is just wonderfully blowing my mind. So I figured the last thing that we'd watch, in a day and age where there's so much pressure to be perfect, how do we forgive ourselves for mistakes when the world is so hell-bent on punishing people for errors as opposed to teaching people? Let me tell you something. I really fucking hate cancel culture. I really do. You know why? Where does good and evil lie with that? Like, where does change and growth lie, and being stagnant and acting out? Where are those things placed? If whenever there's an error, it's just incinerated. Do you know what I mean? We're living beings. We are growing beings. I am going to be wiser than I was when I woke up this morning. So if someone were to say to me, you did something horrible to me, what did I do? You did this. That conversation, you did this to me. This is how you made me feel. Thank you. That's a moment of education for me. I did that. Ownership. I did that. Responsibility. I did that. And I need to, and then we have action. If you cancel something, it can't act. It can't continue. It doesn't have momentum. It's done. So, do I think cancel culture is completely hypocritical to anything revolutionary? Absolutely. Absolutely. How are we supposed to, exactly. Cancel culture and accountability culture is completely on the edge of the spectrum, in my opinion. So, we can't be afraid to make mistakes, because we will make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes every day, maybe. Who knows? We're always going to make mistakes. But the thing that can keep you feeling confident in who you are is that if you have the mindset, if you have exactly what Byron Katie was saying, and what was she saying? Now here's me having a brain fart. If I believe myself to be blank, 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 there I fucking go. Like, I don't want to cancel myself. I feel like we do that too much. We cancel ourselves, and then we're expecting to live a life where we have jobs, where we have careers, where we have friendships and relationships, and just taking care of our bodies. There's so many demands when they could be used as places where we power and level up. I just, exactly. How can someone evolve and learn if they don't make mistakes? Trinity, yes. People who are racist and harmful, because someone brought up Scott Rudin earlier, that motherfucker. Do I think, I mean, it depends on you get canceled, bruh. You can't cancel them because then they will not understand why. And I'm not going to say, I'm going to sit here. Racism is taught. It is also fed. I don't have the energy right now to try to empathize with people who are racist at all, or people who are abusers and know they are and continue to do that. So people, for example, like Scott Rudin, canceling isn't him stepping aside. That's a pussy move. Canceling, and that's the thing, we can only look and watch because we're like, what are we going to do except say, you should get the fuck out of here? What are we going to do except say that? You know, that's the best thing we can do because that's not my business. That's whoever world he's living in his business. So I just think whatever happens next, I hope the people who can make that decision understand the massive effect that will make on the industry of making artists and musicians and actors and people working in front of the camera, behind the camera, and on stage, off stage, ushers, everybody feel safer. So people should be held accountable completely, but canceling does not help them to grow for the greater good of society. Because let's be honest, I'm not going to try to cancel somebody for something that I still haven't accepted or learned from myself. It's so silly. Yeah, J.K. Rowling, absolutely. Did you say joke Rowling on purpose? That's so funny. And that's the thing. Cancel culture also doesn't allow people to receive a second chance to grow. That's the main thing. But let's go to the Mel Robbins video because that is a great. Let's type this in. Sorry, guys. Mel Robbins. And I want to try to make these an hour, so these lives. So I'm trying to find a. Let's do this one. This is interesting. So, This live is going to be saved. Don't worry. This was just an experiment to see if this was helpful for anybody. I know a lot of us are feeling really uncomfortable. I am. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling passionate. I'm feeling driven. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling grief right now. I'm feeling inspired. There are so many big emotions that we're feeling, and so I hope that we can make a space now that is helpful for everybody. So this is Mel Robbins.
Hi there, I'm Glenda Cotina.
This is Mel Robbins.
I chose to move away from my family to Vancouver.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I always thought procrastination had to do with the thing I was procrastinating around, right? Believe it or not, procrastination has nothing to do with your work. Procrastination is a form of stress relief. So the only way that you can break this habit, and that's an important word for you to hear, you're not a procrastinator. You have a habit of procrastinating. Big difference. Because if it's a habit, I can teach you to use science to break it. You see, all habits have three parts. There's a trigger, and in the case of procrastination, the trigger's always stress. Then there's a pattern you repeat, and in the case of procrastination, it is to avoid doing something. And then there's a reward. You get a little stress relief. Yeah. The only way to break a habit, you guys, is not to deal with the triggers. You're never going to get rid of the stress in your life. But you can 100% change your pattern of avoiding work. So next time that you're in a situation where you feel yourself hesitate, you spent way too much time checking out the highlights from last night's scores, what you're going to do is you're going to go, oh, I must be stressed out about something. Acknowledge the stress. Then go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I want you to count to yourself because I want you to interrupt the habit that's stored here, and I want you to awaken your prefrontal cortex. Then I want you to just work, just for 5 minutes. The reason why I want you to only work for 5 minutes is because your problem isn't working. It's the habit of avoiding. I just need you to start. And here's the other cool thing. We know based on research that if we can get you to start, 80% of you are going to keep going.
Oh, what is this drumming? I don't like
One
this.
of the reasons why you watch what we do, and I know this because you tell me this, is because I'm so real, because I'm so relatable, because I'm so authentic. There's something that I'm committed to doing, which is I don't want to tell you what to do. I often really want to show you what the advice looks like in real time. And that's why you constantly are being taken behind the scenes with me, and you see me in my rollers and you see me without makeup. There are still flaws. There are still mistakes. Sometimes the best things happen by accident. So if you're sitting there and you are waiting to put yourself out there because you think it's got to be perfect, if you are waiting to do your first live broadcast, or waiting to put up your first video on LinkedIn, or waiting to put up that first more personal blog post, stop. The only way that you start is by starting. The only way that you learn is by doing. The only
way you learn is by doing, is why I love the idea of, first off, speaking and acknowledging yourself as a living being, because when we're humans, again, we're living things, we grow, we have so much space and potential that we don't even understand, we can't even fathom that, to grow, right? And so if we acknowledge ourselves as a living space, then we can always come back to that and realize, I will never be stagnant, I will never just not be sitting here on my butt. Even if it takes a while for our brain to warm up and match the same rhythm as our heart and our soul, that's when we can thrive. And that's why I said you learn something by doing it. I love saying it takes repetition. When people are like, how do you change your mindset? It takes repetition. It takes being in the same situation over and over again, where you have that feeling in your gut that you're going, the same feeling when you're going on a roller coaster and you're about to drop, the feeling of your stomach dropping. I know you know what I'm talking about. I felt this in the past few days where I got triggered by something, and I knew this was an area in my life where I was desperately seeking to change and to grow from that area, because I knew I'm older and wiser than that. And so I'm here in this area where my stomach's dropping, I'm feeling sweaty, I'm shaking, I'm feeling anxious, and it's hard. It's difficult to choose the newer brain pathway, because we're so used to that road. We've made a whole highway of a road that we are so used to. So to go off-road on a dirt path, off-road, that's really what it's called. It's difficult. It takes practice. It takes repetition. It takes demolishing that highway and going, that doesn't serve me. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't help me. In fact, it keeps me wanting to grow and talking about growing, but not actually doing the work. I love that. It takes repetition. You have to, in order to start something, you have to start it.
You're going to get better and learn how to do things in a way that is better than you do them today, is to do stupid stuff like I do all the time, like pushing live stream and going live for 45 seconds and making those mistakes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've learned in my business is that the mistakes are where all the learning is. And actually, the mistakes and the imperfect stuff, that's where the gold is, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And so as you're sitting there and you're thinking about doing stuff and you're trying to make it perfect and you're trying to come up with the right script before you make that cold call, or you're trying to make sure your body looks perfect before you put yourself out there on match, you are missing out on your life, period.
Oh, the drums. Oh, it's too much. It's too much.
Everybody is plagued with the disease of waiting. Waiting to be ready, waiting to figure it out, waiting for the right time, waiting until you feel confident. And that is the death of your dreams. It's the death of your happiness. It's the death of everything that you've ever wanted to see come true in your life, ever materializing. Whatever it is that you've been waiting to do, you've been waiting to start writing the book, you've been waiting to go back to school, you've been waiting to break up with the person that makes you miserable, that you've been with for too long. Today is the day that you stop waiting.
I hope this video is done, because the drum, oh God, no, I can't, the drums is just, it's really stressing me out. I don't like the drums. It just, it's too much. Good, I'm glad it gives you energy. So, isn't that great? So, 2 videos, we hit under the hour mark, which is great. But I guess, what are you all feeling? I mean, it's nice to know, right? Because if you're like me, which I know a lot of us have so many similarities, we just react differently, or maybe we react the same. If I make a mistake, I immediately feel guilt, and then the other half of me is like, F it, you gotta handle your own business. So these two ideas are trying to coexist, of like wanting to be perfect in the eyes of everyone else and speaking on my truth. And that's going to be a rocky path, but isn't that life? So, So, I mean, would you all maybe say that this is something that you would be interested in every week? Maybe, yeah, honestly, if we're preaching honesty, that's something that we should always be trying to achieve, like, I'm going through grief right now. I don't want to get into it because I want to cry, but right now in my life, it's a real challenge right now. And even though that's the reality is also, and I could list so many things that make me want to get up in the morning, make me want to wake myself up from the nightmare that I want to live in because I feel like I deserve that. No, like, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. I'm not guaranteed this evening. And so I owe it to myself to take up that space and to take up the space in my life. You deserve that as well. You deserve to take up that space and to recondition your brain and your body to love yourself the way that it deserves to be loved. Because I know we're all hungry for that. Somebody said, I definitely feel like so many of us are conditioned to be deeply insecure, yes, and hold the opinions of others so high. I'm trying to learn to be fulfilled by merely loving and supporting myself. At the end of the day, you have yourself, period. In the beginning of the day, you have yourself. Throughout the day, you have yourself. There is never a moment in time where, do you know what I mean? That you're giving away your energy to someone to hold you up. No, you only have yourself. And if you could be there for yourself 100% of the time, just like what Byron Katie said, what would you be? Who would you be without that thought? Without the thought? And you know the thoughts that I'm thinking of because I can hear them in my brain go, here they are. That's what it is. Like, so let this week's Friday Feels be a reminder to you and to myself, because I need this as well. I'm having a shaky day. A lot of things are happening. That it is my responsibility. It's my duty to myself to give myself permission to thrive, to give myself permission to say yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. I don't want to wait anymore. I don't want to hold myself back. So somebody said, I feel like I don't have myself because I don't know myself, and being on this journey of self-discovery is very difficult, I think. You know what? It is very difficult. I'm not saying that I know who I am. I know how I feel and who I am right now. It doesn't have to be complete. But then, like, isn't that holding yourself to a standard? Isn't that holding yourself to a standard of society that we should always know who we are? I don't. There are some days where I can be in the same exact position and maybe react completely differently to the day. We don't know. Like, you don't know what you're going to be feeling tomorrow. So the best thing that we can do is give ourselves the space to say, today was rough. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. Do you know what I mean? Like, giving ourselves the bare minimum of that is so powerful. You know, rather than giving ourselves so little and expecting us to deal with so much. That's just completely out of balance, especially now when social media is giving people the platform to speak up against social injustices, to speak up against workplace harassment, and to speak up against important issues, what a union should look like. We're not going to get into that. To speak up about saying, we understand that you're afraid. Here's why you don't need to be. We've been conditioned. Somebody said this before, I don't remember who said, we've been conditioned to believe that being insecure is normal. Yes, it is normal. And you have the potential to live your life with such confidence. That doesn't mean never having insecurities. That means being completely aware of what you're feeling in the moment and how you want to proceed. You know? So, picking the thoughts. Not saying that we can, like, I said that bad thought, that one can go away, this one come in. Sometimes we won't have full control, and I think the wonderful thing that will make us feel powerful is going, yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel that thought. Not a nice thought, huh? I don't need to make it big. I don't need to make it, I don't need to focus on it. I can acknowledge it. I don't need to focus on it. So yeah, let's let this be a sign for all of us. Human beings are fluid and changing constantly. Absolutely. It's fine not knowing who you are, and also fine to change your mind. But here's the thing. Who you are right now is who you are. Who you are right now, watching this, questioning, who am I? That's who you are. That's who you are right now. You know, we have to stop thinking of life and things in our life as like we hit 100%. We hit the bar. We're not there at the bar yet. No. The journey of self-discovery is infinite. It's infinite. If it was finite, then there would be the standard. Then there would be the bar. But it's not. It's free-flowing. And that's the beauty of it. That thought, I hope makes you feel like you have so much more space to spread your wings. You know what I mean? I hope the thought that journey of self-discovery never ends. It never ends. Which means that there is no way in fucking hell that you are failing. You can't fail a journey of self-discovery if it's infinite. You know? There might be things or projects that I fail on. There might be times where I go, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, I disappointed this person. It doesn't mean I'm failing my journey. I get it though. We've been conditioned to think that. Journey of self-discovery is often quashed by comparison to others. I find social media really contributes badly to this. Let me just say, I found social media to be either extremely powerful. No, I'll say this. Social media is powerful in two ways. It can either leave me feeling completely inspired and like, yes, amazing, or it can leave me feeling so empty, and it depends on how I open it. So maybe as an experiment, if we're feeling, speaking to all of us, if we're feeling like I'm feeling a little crappy right now, maybe let's not open Instagram, or maybe, and I have the Amarillo Project page, which please check that out. I am plugging a little bit. It's my podcast. We have Tuesday meditations every week. And we're going to do this every week on that page, Friday Feels. But all I follow and all I allow on that feed for the Amarillo Project is self-love, beautiful bodies, different colors, not even just positivity, because, you know, but it's stuff that makes me feel like I'm good, I'm supported, this is great. Maybe make another Instagram account where if you really feel like you have to go on social media, you go on and you get fed what you want or need to see. You know what I mean? Somebody said, can we talk about having narcissistic parents, how it can affect our negative thoughts about ourselves next time we have this live? Yeah, well, we can, touch on it now. I believe that all humans can have narcissistic tendencies, and I always have this, I don't know why, but a huge fear of mine of being a narcissist. In fact, I took a narcissism test the other day, and I told Reeve about it. I was like, I took a narcissist test. It was like, did you fail? And I was like, I don't know, probably not, because it asked me if it thought I deserved a really good life, and I said yes. It's funny, like the fears we have because of the society, but we have to wake up from the dream. The four agreements. But anyway, I will say this. I don't know what that experience is like, but I can say that you deserve the best. And you have the ability and the power and the resources to give yourself the best. It's not easy. It's not a lie. Like, who wants to be in a situation where the people who love you, who should love you and speak only love to you, are narcissists and only think about themselves? It gives you things that you have to deal with in your adult life, which aren't nice. We all have those. Even if you had a perfect childhood, you know, we all carry things from our parents. We all carry things from our family. And you know what? That's the unique journey that we all have. Oh, wow, Amanda, my therapist told me last week that narcissism isn't always a bad thing, and that was life-changing. Yeah, I sometimes get scared to say that, use this situation as a lesson, because I have a privilege at this moment to say that, because I'm in a really horrible situation, in my opinion. Not in my opinion. I am in a horrible situation. I am not doing as well as I would like to, but I am. And so, what was I even saying? I'm so sorry. It's been a really long day, and it's only 6:00. Good Lord Jesus Christ. Oh yeah, I don't like saying that, you know, a bad situation is good for you. Like, bad situations are sometimes bad situations. Just like Byron saying, don't question reality. It doesn't mean that you're still not going to suffer. In my opinion. Whose birthday is it? Happy birthday. That's so wonderful. Happy birthday. Any tips on self-love? I got chunks of self-love, baby. Where do you want to start? You got to love yourself in every single way. You know, are you more tuning into self-care or self-maintenance? If you could see yourself as a tree or as a bed of flowers, something that's living and growing, we have to start thinking of ourselves as living beings, not as something that's dead or stagnant or neutral. We will never be that. I like how moms are requesting to be in my live video, but she won't respond to my text messages. Shade. Shade. That's shady, Mom. I love you so much. But I love you all, and it's Trinity. Well, it's true. I'm the same thing. I'm just like, what? I did a face mask and like worked out today. Like, I'm taking care of myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with anxiety? I battle it and want it to just go away. I want to be careful answering this because I don't understand. I don't know your full situation. I just know that I've been through it in my own way. I do think that it is a war, you know, but I would also say that, remember that it's not a war like in the books. I would say you will take hits, but remember that you are the constant, and anxiety is not. Anxiety is not the constant in your life. As much as we want to believe that it is, because we think we deserve it, or it's hard to ignore, it is. It's hard to freaking ignore. It's hard to ignore it, like it feels like it's behind you, like trying to like take the air out of you. But remember that you are the constant. You're not going away. Anxiety does. You're not going away. You win in the end. So even if you're feeling weak and you feel like, God, that was a tough day. Yes, it was a tough day. And I'm here. Look how much power I have. I don't know how to say this because also I'm not a licensed therapist, so please, I'm not a licensed therapist at all. I'm just speak off experience, but just because you're not in control, it doesn't mean you're not powerful. That's just a thing. Life is messy. Life is so messy, and we don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes. All I know is what's right now, what's happening right now in my body, what's happening right now in my brain. So if I can just, for a millisecond, sit with myself and keep repeating this, maybe this is a challenge. Say, I deserve the best. I deserve the best. Minimum. That's minimum, baby. You deserve the best. You deserve the fucking best. You deserve the fucking world. I think if we keep repeating that to ourselves, like an anthem, it becomes less of a war. That's why I like mountain meditations, and I haven't called them that for a while. When we do meditations with the Amarillo Project page, I like thinking of when we're in that zone, we're in that space. I like thinking of my body and my spirit as something that grows. Like, I gained 8 inches during that, and open your eyes, you're 8 inches taller. I was like, that's not the imagination. That's what you are. You know, you're extravagant. You're unique. You're supposed to be here. That's not a question. That's a fucking fact. You know, you're made to do good things. You're destined to do wonderful things, and you already are. There's no goal. There's no like, I'm gonna get there someday. You are that now. So, yeah. How did I not let comparison affect me? Honestly? Oh, damn. Jesus. Listen to this, ready? Ooh. I did. comparison affected me for a long time, and it still does now, man. It still affects me to this day. But you know what? Being completely honest with you guys, it affects me because I let it. It affects me because I let it. I open Instagram when I'm feeling weak. And Instagram's not a place. It's not a good place for somebody who's feeling weak. It's not a good place for them. My meditation, Trinity, how dare you? You're on it. Yes, Trinity plugged it because that's queen right there. Yeah. Comparison is animalistic. You know, there's no such thing as the perfect life or perfect mindset. We will always still make mistakes and go back into old tendencies, maybe sometimes. And even if we're growing, we'll make mistakes. And, you know, thankfully life is messy. But I have come to realize that I don't want to make anyone my enemy. So the second I started looking at everyone that I was comparing myself to as not my enemy, I was like, oh, nice, cool, great. Great. That's great, Ryan Cloak. I love that. I fucking love that. It's hard. Looking in the mirror is hard. I understand. Honestly, just like 2 weeks ago, I remember looking in the mirror and remembering all the times I would look at my psychotherapist in the eyes and say, I don't have body dysmorphia. I don't believe in that. For 4.5 years, I saw that man. And he was like, you have body dysmorphia. And I was like, no, I don't. Telling my psychotherapist that. And I remember looking in the mirror and going, oh, I do, because I was challenging reality. I feel, I see, I am. My brain was saying, you're not any of those. Very, very. Sky, I don't think you want to be my enemy. You know who is my enemy right now? Maybe going back to Broadway after that article. Psych! No, I'm just kidding. I'm a little nervous though. Well, this is nice. I like this Q&A. It's nice for us, I think. Yeah, arts. This is the thing. Arts isn't a competition. That's why I think awards are so silly. Like, it's great. Let's celebrate each other. Absolutely. But like best, nah, bro. How do you pull yourself out of the hard times? I don't anymore. I mean, if I'm in a hard time and I realize that this is a Pizza Planet shirt, thank you so much. Target, you can get this at Target for $7. I got it on the clearance section. In the clearance section, not on the clearance section. Sometimes I need to be in a hard time because, and I will say this, back to the idea of repetition when we learn lessons. I will say it takes repetition. To be in the same situation, I truly believe that the universe keeps putting us in situations because we haven't learned the lesson. We haven't understood the truth. We haven't been honest with the truth that lesson is trying to teach us. So it keeps repeating itself. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. How do you learn how to pull yourself out of a dark place? Practice, practice, practice. Not saying it will never not happen again. But I just realized that sometimes I need to let it out. So I'm a very emotional person, sensitive person. Sometimes I need to sit there with myself and go, because life isn't easy. It's not. Growth isn't easy. Challenging yourself isn't easy. I understand that my Hannah 13. Sometimes I look at Reeve and I'm like, are you real? But for what I was saying, it's I'm trying to repeat to myself, even though I don't believe it all the time. I deserve the best. I deserve the best. I deserve the best. No, I did not audition for the Wicked movie. I don't want to be in that. Very excited to watch it. I don't enjoy singing musical theater right now, and I can't sing it, to be honest with you. I don't want to. Sorry everyone. But it is, you know, that's the thing. If life is constantly teaching us, giving us opportunities for growth and connecting more with ourselves, then we never really fail at anything, do we? That's a nice, Dick Crystal, oh my god, my family. Fucking hate coronavirus. I saw a question, I'm kind of go back. What's a good way to get through to teachers about how overbearing they'd be? I never went to college, so I wish an option would be like, fuck you. But I know that's unacceptable. I probably shouldn't have, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to talk to teachers. In my math class, I used to write on my test, I don't know the answer to this, but you taught it to me, I just don't know. I used to actually write that as a response. So anyway, I want to wrap this live up because I want this to try to be within an hour so that's nice and timed. But I want to say I love you all very, very much. Even if I don't know you, who cares? I'm glad we all had this space together, and I hope you took notes. We'll do this again next Friday at the same time. Maybe on this page, maybe on the Unreal Project's page, who knows? And I just want to say that let this be a sign. Let's not even challenge ourselves. Let's give ourselves the best option, and that would be to say to yourself constantly, and even if it needs to be out loud, it's actually a really nice thing. I deserve the best. I deserve the best. I deserve the best. I deserve the best. And I feel like if I keep saying to myself, it will help me not to respond with defensiveness, which, just like Byron Katie was saying, is an act of war. So with that being said, I love you all. Have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, evening, and salud. And we'll see you Tuesday on the Amadio Project for our meditation, and next Friday, maybe here, probably going to be here for the next one, for Friday Feels. But namaste.